Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Amy Sam. I am the Health Education Project Specialist at the Maxwell and Eleanor Blum Patient Family Learning Center at Mass General. Today's program is part of our Blum Center Well-Being Series. Before we get started, I just want to go a few items with you all. Please note that today's session is being recorded for educational purposes. If you're interested in viewing the recording, it'll be made available on the Blum Center website at massgeneral.org/Blum-Center. Please note that you are in listen-only mode. Everyone has music when you're a guest speaker today. If you have any questions or thoughts you'd like to share, feel free to do so in the chat, which is located at the bottom of your screen. We'll have time for them throughout the session. Only Blum Center staff and our guest speaker will see your comments and questions. Please do not share any personal medical information or questions in the chat. If you have a personal medical question, please ask your doctor. Lastly, at the end of today's session, you'll be directed to a brief survey, which we'd like to ask you to complete. Your feedback is important to us as we plan future programs. Okay. Joining us today is my pleasure to introduce you all today is Carmen Alvarez. Carmen is the Director of Physician and Patient Engagement at Mass General Brigham International. She is also an organizational cultural strategist, certified mindfulness facilitator and teacher, Reiki master, well-being leader, and a published author. Carmen is a well-being teacher and coach. As a certified workforce mindfulness facilitator, she integrates mindfulness and organizational cultural strategy to provide a comprehensive and integrated wellness approach to workplace well-being. She joins us today to lead a session titled Recharge Your Energy, What Fills Your Cup? Please join me in welcoming Carmen.
Thank you, Amy, so much for that lovely introduction. And hello, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be with you once again. This is now our fifth session this year that started last fall. And it is just such a pleasure to see you join us again today. It is the winter time and it is January. And it is the time of the year when we are all thinking about our goals and what we've done, what we have yet to do, and things of that nature. It's also winter, so it may feel a little bit more gloomy for some. So this month, we wanted to really bring your attention to the tools that are based on mindfulness that can help you become aware of what fills your cup. And I have mine here, as we're saying. So what fills your cup? We are going to be discussing your energy charge, your battery charge, if you will. And it's a way of thinking about your source of energy and how it is managed. So the title is Recharge Your Battery, What Fills Your Cup? And this session is really an invitation today to reflect. It's not much of a lecture. Along the way, we are all of us are going to together reflect on what it means to each of us. The battery, what drains your battery, what charges your battery. It is very individual. I cannot sit here and say that this is a very individual thing. So that's why we will be pausing and reflecting, and it's going to be hopefully very interactive. So the invitation today is that as much as possible, participate in the chat, because we are doing this as a webinar to protect your privacy and your information. So please fill in the chat. We'll give you the prompts and we'll do polls and all sorts of fun things to make this as interactive as possible. All right, so why don't we get started? So what is on the agenda today? What we'll cover today is the concept of an energy battery, identifying your energy drainers and the givers, and then we'll get into practical mindfulness tools to recharge. And then lastly, Together, we will put together your personalized recharge plan. So that is your takeaway and the gift. Hopefully, you'll end up with a lot more clarity around what is that brings you the most joy and the most charge so that you can be prepared and armed for the rest of the winter. So recharging your battery. First, let's pause and talk about stress. If you've been part of the well-being series, you know that we started the series discussing stress and given that a definition. And my definition of stress is not necessarily a particular situation, the events, or even your environment. It's really more about your mindset. It's about your mind and that back and forth between something that happened in the past, sometimes can come in as a regret, something that, right, that is charged with something in the past that you cannot change. Or it could be something in the future that hasn't happened yet, but that equally drained you because you are based on maybe some anxiety about something that is yet to come and hasn't, right? So this back and forth between these two timetables, if you will, is what creates stress. Stress physically, biologically, and chemically in your brain is the back and forth between those two, especially because, as I said, if it's something based in the past, sometimes be it, let's say, is a regret or a guilt or the desire to change something that happened in the past and your inability to do that, it sometimes tends to be charged with a negative emotion. So those are negative emotions, and that tends to be draining. Equally, the anxiety that comes with the unknown of the future can also be draining. So this is very much in line with what we are discussing here today. So stress is inevitable. We have it in our lives. And so knowing what it is gives us that awareness that we need. And also knowing what we prioritize in our lives. Another source of draining your energy is what we say yes to. Most of us tend to say yes to a lot more than what that we can carry out about. We tend to not want to hurt our loved ones, for example. So we say yes to our families and friends. We say a lot more yes at work than we can really handle most of the times, right? For many various different reasons. But that saying yes to so much is very draining in the end. So when we say yes to others, you know, be it committing our time to doing something that helping someone or doing more work than we can, the more you say yes to others and the more you say yes to something else, you are really telling yourself subconsciously that your time is not as important as others. So bringing awareness to what we prioritize is very key here. So again, it's really about pausing to reflect on this, on what you're saying yes, or where is your energy going? Most of the time, we don't take the time to pause and reflect on this. So today it's all about giving you the space to pause, even if it's just for a few minutes, to take a look at that. Gosh, what is draining me? And may surprise you once we reflect on these things, and you'll be surprised at what's actually texting you and what's charging you. It might be counterintuitive once we sit down and take a look at it. Either way, taking the time to pause and reflect and bringing awareness to it is really crucial. So crucial so that we can make intentional choices and to take care of our energy and our well-being. So that is what today is all about. What drains you, what fills you. So let's take a first poll if you want to, and Amy's gonna bring it up and just click where you are today. How full does your energy battery feel today? And as you can see, you should be seeing it in your screen. And just pick. I'll be curious to see where you are. Just whatever comes to mind. And then we'll just give you a few minutes for everyone to put in and say that. And while you do that, I want to say that it's interesting how, speaking of priorities, and I have a cell phone, a cartoon of a cell phone in there charging. I mean, how much do we prioritize charging our cell phones every day? Think about the first thing you do in the morning. Everyone is always looking to see, am I fully charged? I have to make sure that my phone is charged before I can go on with my day, right? We really prioritize that. We know that we cannot have the phone go on zero, or if it's getting too low, we're constantly checking in with our phone. How am I doing with battery? Do I need to recharge? Do I need to plug my phone in, right? Is my phone about to die? Think about it. We put so much importance. We give it, we value it. So we give it importance, and we're also checking in with it. So reflect on that, because we don't do that with ourselves. We're not that aware of our own battery charging. Okay, so let's see the responses. Okay, so we are, okay, this is pretty equal here. Some of us are 25, between 25 and 50, which is pretty low, I have to say. And then the rest of us are between 50 and 75. And I even have someone say 0 to 25. I am so sorry to hear that. I really hope that by the end of this session that energy is much higher. I'm sure that it will be, because we're going to be pulling each other up here at the end. And those of you who are between 75 and 100, yay, that's awesome. So let's share that. Let's share a little bit more of that. So thank you, Amy, for the responses. So think about that, about your chart, your phone, and how much you care about that. If we put that much intention and care about our own battery, we will all be better served. But we don't think about it often in that way. So the power of observation. When was the last time you took a pause to reflect on what drains you versus what fills your emotional cup? The fact is that most of us are not really aware of what's draining us. And this is without judgment. Again, I want you also to bring a lot of self-compassion to this. As we are reflecting, I want you to ask yourself this too, without judgment, with a lot of compassion. We simply are not aware most of the times of what is draining us. We just go about our day, right? We're trying to push through without noticing what is draining us. And we also equally are not as aware about what brings us joy, what's energizing us. And so awareness is key, because once you learn what these things are, these activities that are either, the positive charge or the negative charge, then we can be intentional and plan your day around the positive charges a lot more than the negatives. So that is what today is all about. So when I'm curious as well, because based on the responses I just saw earlier, when was the last time you gave yourself that pause? When was the last time you thought to yourself to pause and reflect on your own energy and what gives you that charge? If we have a poll ready, maybe Amy, we can do a poll and people can just do a click to see how they feel. Okay, there's your poll. How often do you take time to recharge? How often do you think and reflect on this? I'd like to see, especially based on the responses, where are we here? Daily, weekly, rarely, or never? Just be honest. There is no judgment. And also I cannot see who's answering what. So just be honest and share. Great. And the reflection here too is what I was saying earlier, is what do you say yes to that depletes you without knowing? Great. So let's see the responses. We're curious to see here. And thank you so much for participating. This makes it so much more interactive for me to see. Oh, my Lord. Okay. See, it actually makes sense. Because of those low numbers of energy that I was seeing from the group, it actually matches here because the majority of us responded that we rarely take time to reflect or to recharge. That is the answer right there. It's not only the activities and the things in your life that are taken from you, but it's also the fact that we don't intentionally take the time to reflect on it or to recharge. That is key. And so hopefully today, when we leave today, we'll have a plan to address this. And thank you so much for being honest and for sharing your responses. So what do you say yes to that takes your time, that depletes you? A lot of the times we say yes to something that we feel is our responsibility. Maybe we feel that everything at work is our responsibility, so we say yes to a lot. Maybe we feel that it's responsibility with family members or even friends. And I'm not saying that we should not. Of course, we should be generous as much as possible. However, it should never be taxing on you, right? So this whole idea of what fills your cup is, and I'm sure you've heard this saying of, you cannot give from an empty cup. You cannot give from an empty cup. So it's about refilling your cup so that you can continue to give to others. So the idea of energy battery is also related to your inner resilience. And, imagine your inner resilience as a rechargeable battery. Like I have a little battery here. So like a battery, the amount of energy that is stored changes after certain events. So the amount of energy that you start with in the morning is different than how it is throughout the day. And then of course, how it is at the end of the day. But it's also changing throughout depending on the event and your environment, your interactions, and what you are engaging with. It differs from second to second, minute to minute. So things that drain the battery include anything that depletes you in some way or contribute to your stress, obviously, right? And things that recharge the battery include anything that in some way relaxes you or builds your resiliency. And I want to take a pause to describe or define resiliency here since we are discussing it. So resilience is adapting as you go along versus pushing through. I want you to reflect on that because I think that collectively as a society, or at least maybe it was just me, when I thought of resilience, I used to think that it meant to push through, no matter what, just keep going. That's not resilience really. Resilience is having the skills and ability to adapt as you go along, but with awareness, right? It's not pushing through. So when we think of resilience, we often imagine as pushing through, forcing ourselves to keep going no matter what. And that is not the correct thing because that could be at the expense of your well-being. True resilience isn't about the grit only, right? It's about adapting to the challenges and finding ways to grow from them, not just surviving as we often do. Most of us are on a survivor mode all the time, but it's about adapting and growing all throughout. Sometimes we even thrive, right? Which is a favorite topic of mine. It's what comes from my adversity when you embrace it with this mentality is that you thrive and you grow and you transform. So resilience is the ability to adapt, we're saying. It is being flexible in the face of change, bouncing back from the setbacks and finding strength and opportunities for growth within those challenges. But in order to adopt, we must have awareness. And this is why I think it's important to pause and bring awareness to what is draining you and what is recharging you. Okay, what charges you, what drains you. Awareness is key. So here's a list of the takers or the drainers and givers. Take a minute to read through these because some of them are very, obvious, and some of them may not be as obvious to you. And again, what I said earlier is also true. This is very individual, right? What charges one person may actually be a drainer for someone else and vice versa. So take a look at this. And for you personally, as an individual, what is your giver? What is your charge? What is your taker? Some of these are universally one or the other. Obviously, poor sleep is draining. I don't know anyone that does better, feels charged with no sleep, right? But I want you to take a look at these. Worrying, overthinking, very, very much draining. Obviously, we know that. Social media, which is what we tend to do a lot of because we're always holding our phones. So social media, and I like to add to this, the news. Watching the news or even having it on, having the TV on in the background, even if you're not, paying attention to it, it is very draining of your energy. Please be aware of that. People pleasing, your diet, right? Of course, we know this. And holding on to the past, we were just talking about those things. Dehydration, obviously, some of these are very obvious. So let's take a poll and see, now that you're looking at this, take a minute to reflect. And I'd like to see for you, if we have a poll ready, we could do that. What recharges you the most based on what you're seeing here? And your choices are nature, time with loved ones, creative activities, alone time. This is an interesting one. That's why this is very individual, because alone time could be very recharging for some and it could be draining for others. So this is very individual. So take a time to answer for yourself. And if you want to choose other because you don't see it here, then I invite you to put it in the chat because I'll be very curious what that is for you. What recharges you the most based on the list that we're seeing and what we're learning about this? Okay, so let's see some answers already. And thank you for taking the time to play along and participate with us here. Wonderful. Oh my goodness. This is an equal split here. Most of us get positive charge from nature. Of course, being out in nature, that is a no-brainer. It is very well known that fresh air, nature, sunlight is a positive charge. And I'm so glad that most of you feel the same way. And that's interesting because it was a very equal split between that and alone time. So it seems that we have a group of introverts here, such as myself. So lots of introverts here who get their charge from alone time. That's really wonderful. So thank you for sharing that. Of course, a good number of you time with loved ones and creative activities and some exercise. Great. I do see some who said others. And so if you care to put the other category, if you care to share that in the chat. No one can see your name, but we can see your answers, and I'll share that with the group. I'm curious as of what your other was. So this is great. So yes, so bringing awareness to your charges. And thank you for sharing that. Oh, religion. Thank you so much for sharing that. Whomever shared this, it's a very good point. Your spiritual life, whatever you do that brings you that space to go inward and to think about something greater. So yes, that is such a beautiful comment. Thank you so much for sharing that. Your spiritual practice, absolutely. Okay, so now let's take a pause and think about what drains you. Now, this is a no judgment zone. This is only for you to observe and learn. So be kind with yourself and allow yourself this time. The reason we're doing this is because, as I said, most of the times we're doing things because we feel it's our duty or responsibility, and we push through, and we're not really noticing when it's draining us. We don't even think about it because we just think, oh, I have to do this. It's something I have to do, right? So let's think about what could be draining us. And so for us, I would like for us to do something different because this is very, very, we need to bring awareness to where there isn't any right now, possibly. So I would like to invite you to close your eyes with me if you can, unless you're driving. If that's the case, don't close your eyes, obviously. But if you can, and it feels safe for you to do so, close your eyes and take a deep breath in. Inhaling through your nose and taking an exhale. Settle where you are if you're seated. Allow your arms and your shoulders to drop. Let's take another deep breath in. Inviting that quiet moment from this space in your body. And as you settle, while your eyes are still closed, I want you to think about the past week. In the past week, what drained your energy the most? It could be a particular event. Maybe you think about it generally, just an area of your life that's draining you. There's no judgment here. Simply notice where the draining is. What is that source that's draining you? Even if it is a person, again, let's bring a lot of compassion to this. Our family members and those we love, they could be both. They could be a source of joy, but yeah, sometimes it could also be draining. Right? Equally with our place where we work, it's both. It brings us joy, but sometimes it's also draining. So without judgment, simply observe where those negative and positive charges are in your life. The objective of this exercise is simply awareness. So let's just take one deep breath in and get ready to come back, open your eyes. Now you can note this for yourself if you have a piece of paper and you want to write it down, or you can share it in the chat. If you feel like sharing that, no one can see your name. For you, what are those areas that are draining? And did anything surprise you? Of those things that popped into your mind in this safe space without judgment, when you looked at it and you realized, God, that is draining me. Was it surprising? Whatever it was, feel free to write it in the chat if you feel comfortable. One of the answers is taking things personally and feeling inaccurate. Okay. The other one is judging past actions. Oh my God. Again, with the past, right? You see the negative thoughts about the past event. Oh my goodness. Yes. Another one is the sheer volume of the to-do list. Absolutely. Yes. And the personal commitments. So there's a conflict, right? A conflict between the to-do list and our personal commitments, what we wish we could do versus what we feel obliged to do. The being too busy, someone else is saying, is not one activity in particular that's draining, but it's rather the collection. Very good point. Of course, Exactly. So this is why we're taking this space today. You see, this awareness is key. All of this is great awareness. One is the volume of the to-do list and the conflict against personal commitments as well. Someone else says it's not the activity or the how many, it's the fact that I'm not taking time to recharge. That's excellent. Reflection. This is the type of awareness that I invite for all of us to take right now. So it's not so much that we have what we have to do of what's happening, because we all have so much to do, right? But it's the fact that we're not aware, we're not pausing to reflect on what's too draining, and the fact that we're not pausing to recharge when needed. So thank you so much for this beautiful awareness and sharing it. And I thank you for being compassionate enough and aware and honest with yourself to say when these negative thoughts are draining you as well. Thank you for being so honest. A lot of you are discussing these negative thoughts and a lot of about the past, judging your own past actions. Oh my goodness. See, we cannot go back in the past and change it. So really, these are the things that we are not allowing ourselves to let go of. We're not allowing ourselves to let go of the past, and also the feeling inaccurate feeling insecure about things. That's also something that we are holding on to versus letting go. So bringing awareness to those things, because it is an invitation, is that the invitation here in this reflection and this awareness is that we do have the choice. We have the choice to change how we are managing our battery charger. Thank you so much for sharing these things. And I celebrate your the awareness that you bring into all of this. Perfect. So now take a deep breath in and exhale. Let go of that, the drain and the draining. Even that moment of reflection is charged with a certain kind of negativity, right, if you will. So I want you to take a moment to breathe in and fully let go, as we now do the opposite. Let's do a similar exercise in which you're going to notice what brings you joy. This is a lot more fun. So let's do something similar. If you're able to close your eyes for a second, if it feels safe to you, and if not, you can just gaze somewhere. Allow your eyes to drop, your visual, and take a deep breath in. Allowing your body to drop again. If you can open your hands looking up. It invites a lot more ability to breathe in. Deep breath in and exhale. And now when we look at the past week, or even longer, just generally in your life, what brings you joy? You imagine that you are feeling completely charged, full of energy. You're smiling, you're laughing, you feel full of life. When was the last time you felt this way or you saw yourself this way? Visualize it, remember and recall. Where were you? What were you doing? Were you with someone? Who's with you? What are the sensations that come about when you see yourself this way, when you are in these situations or with these people or doing this activity? What are the sensations you're tapping into? Perhaps even colors. Some of us are more visual than others, and maybe it's a color that you equate to this sensation of being elated, of feeling joyful. Those are feelings. What are your feelings? What do you feel? Feel happy? Do you feel light? As much as possible, I want you to observe in this visualization where you are, what are you doing, who is with you, because this is what tells you what you love, what charges you. This is the key to things that you can do more of to charge you. So now when you're ready, take another deep breath in. Exhale, hopefully with a smile now this time. And now if you're comfortable, share in what comes up for you. I see that you're saying calming. Wow, this is beautiful. It's calming. So whatever it is that you are doing or where you see yourself and you're getting calming, then that's your key. That is your positive charge. So this is something that we can add to your personal plan so that you can do more of. How much of this are you doing? How much of your time goes towards doing more of this that brings you calm? So for the rest of you, if you're happy to, if you're able to share with us in the chat what came up for you, I'll be very happy to share with others. Joy, also that's great. That's wonderful. Oh my goodness, this is very specific and I absolutely love it. This person wrote in-person classical music, and that is something that we share in common. That's so wonderful. Actually, next week I'll be doing that myself. This is one of the things that brings me joy. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And playing with my grandkids. Oh, yes. Kids, babies, they always bring so much joy. Good. Thank you so much for feeling these things. Feel lighter. Okay, so this person goes towards visualizing themselves at the beach and listening to the waves. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see what else. Thank you for sharing. Being in community, so being with others or perhaps doing something that is related to service, right? Volunteering is a source of joy and positive charge for so many people. I really, I recommend it as well. Yeah, so see, everyone has a very different answer here, and that's why I say that this is very individual. But the key is to become aware of what is a positive charge for you so that you can make an intentional plan to do more and more of that. Someone writes, having meaningful interaction with a patient. Yes, what a source of joy, speaking of service, right? If you are deeply, deeply connected to your sense of service, and your passion for what you do, is patient care and helping our patients. I love that you wrote this. Thank you. Absolutely. That is a positive charge. It is beautiful. It fills your heart. It fills the heart to spend time with patients and have meaningful interactions. That's beautiful. So you see, what we're seeing here is that what charges you is very individual. And it's sometimes, not sometimes, but often is connected to what brings you meaning, what you consider is meaningful to you. If it's, could be related to an enjoyable time, like music, maybe that brings very positive memories to you. And so that is a positive thing. It's a positive charge. For someone else is connected to their mission and their service, and what brings them joy is related to their service. So each of us will have something that's very special. So bring attention and awareness to what that is for you, because we want to bring more and more to your life. Someone else says that I'm recognizing here that more things charge me than what I give credit to. Incredible awareness. This is related to what we said at the very beginning. You're going to be surprised. Yes, it's not just the obvious. This is the beauty of awareness, is that you'll start to recognize that there are things that actually charged you and that you love it. But we're so busy doing, so busy pushing through that sometimes we don't even give it enough credit. But it's important that we do now. And I'm so happy that you're doing that now, because now you can do these things more intentionally. You could do them more often, and you can give them a lot more credit because they are charging your battery. So thank you so much for this. It's beautiful, all this awareness, and thank you for sharing. Beautiful. So we're all smiling. Hopefully I'm smiling. I am full of energy and joy for you. I'm so glad that you have this awareness. Thank you for sharing that. So here's a bit of an example to carry on with this of the givers, the energy givers. So pay attention to where this is for you. And why is this important? Obviously, for these reasons. You have a healthier immune system and overall wellness when you fill your life and your everyday with the things that charge you up, the positive chargers. You'll be healthier, better immune system. You'll be in better shape inside and out. Pay attention to this. Everybody who wants to get in shape, actually, doing the things that brings you joy will lower cortisol, and which will have you feeling and looking better. So all of us who are, especially now in January, everyone is thinking about these things. It improves your mental wellness, obviously. It also nurtures healthy relationships. So the happier you are and the more positive charge you have in your battery, the better your relationships. And it also helps you set boundaries, which is correlated to this, right? So brings awareness to what is a positive charge for you and a negative charge. It will help you set boundaries, and it will help you say no to certain things. Once you realize that a lot of what you're saying yes to is draining your energy, with this awareness, I hope that you feel empowered to say no to those things a little bit more often, so that you can make space to fill that space, fill it in with something that's positive instead, okay? And obviously it promotes growth and opportunities. So sunshine, nature, laughter, connection, the acts of kindness. This is what we were discussing earlier today related to service. I want to introduce you to this term that I ran into the other day, and I absolutely love it, and it's called glimmers. Glimmers is the opposite of triggers. We're all familiar with a trigger. What triggers you, right? A trigger is usually something that, often negative, right? A memory, something that triggers you from the past is a trigger. Glimmer, on the other end of it, and the opposite end of it, are the moments in your day that make you feel joy, happiness, peace, and gratitude. So I want to introduce this for you to your vocabulary. I want you to look for glimmers throughout your day, because once you train your brain to be on the lookout for the glimmers, these tiny moments will appear more and more. Similar to the triggers, and the triggers, and especially related to your nervous system, but that's a whole other talk that we did earlier. The glimmers, once you train your brain to look for the positive charges, what brings me joy throughout the day, your brain will automatically show you that more and more all around you. The moments of gratitude, the moments of joy, the moments of peace. Your brain will automatically more and more show you that. So let's bring more glimmers to our lives. Where are your glimmers? So let's take a moment to practice this together right now. So reflect on one thing that you're grateful for today. That's your glimmer for today. Gratitude. What are you grateful for today? For me, I'm going to share my glimmer. My glimmer is you, being with you and seeing your answers and your participation, your awareness, and what's happening within you right now. Also, the sunshine because it's a sunny day. I'm very grateful. So those are my glimmers. Let's see what anyone else have a glimmer they want to share? Supportive family. Great. There are so many glimmers all around us, all around us. I want you to bring your awareness to that as we go along. We're getting close to the end here, but I want to take a minute to integrate now because we just did something very important together. We looked at what was draining you, and then we looked at what is charging you, and that's beautiful, right? There was a negative charge and a positive charge that we did that together. So now let's take a minute to integrate that before we go. I want you to say thanks to yourself for taking that moment and bringing that awareness. So one mindful breath together as we integrate. And then the last thing we're going to do together is doing your personal recharge plan. This is important. So with what we learned and the clarity that you now have, let's write down or jot down 3 things that you'll do this week to recharge your battery. And you have to commit to at least one and share it with a friend or someone that can keep you accountable. And just to help us out here, I have a list of the things that you could add to your personal plan. Here's a ton of activities here. So if it's physical, it could be sleep, gentle movement. It could be honoring your boundaries, right? It could be taking breaks, brain dumps. Those are good. Less social media, less phone, saying no more often, doing something creative, the spiritual, meditating, praying. So your own personal plan must contain 3 of these things that you will commit to doing in the next week. Commit to doing at least one every single day. And I promise you that your battery will be full or more full than when we started. And if you want to share what these words are, or if you want to share just one final word that describes how you are feeling today, I invite you to participate in this fun exercise. This allows you to put in your word and it will form a word crowd, and which Amy will share with us later. So you could either scan this barcode and it will pop up the survey and you can put in your word in there. I just automatically put in the word in there and then we'll see it. Or you can go to the link that Amy put in the chat. And while you're doing that, I'm gonna read comments that you're putting in. Someone else wrote, I'm so glad that I took the time to attend today instead of just trying to do more work. Oh my God, there's always more work. Yes. Yes. Thank you so much. I am so glad too. I am so glad. And the glimmer, someone wrote, the warmth and comfy clothes. Oh, yes. Awesome. I love that glimmer. Someone else wrote, my glimmer is a ditto back to you for taking the time to hear this presentation. Oh, that is so wonderful. Thank you so much for saying that. It's beautiful. No, it's such a pleasure. It's such an honor to be with you. And yet I'm so glad that all of you are sharing your glimmers, and I hope that you continue this forever. Okay, so here's the word crowd. Prioritize sleep. Yes to that. Bible study. Oh my God, I love this. Let's do it. Let's hear it. Let me hear it because I would love to participate as well. Coloring. Oh, this is so cute. I love it. I love that. A lot of people saying sleep, walk, hike, exercise. Yes. Yeah, read more, not work related. Absolutely. Take more breaks. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Thank you. I'm so glad to see what your plan, having more gratitude. Absolutely. Absolutely. Walking in more gratitude. This is beautiful. Thank you for participating. I really hope that you take this plan and incorporate it into your next few days for the next week or so. Please contact me, email me, let me know how you're doing. If you need an accountability partner, I can be it. You can let me know. Oh, someone said journaling. Journaling is so good. It's so wonderful. Get outside, read more, take more breaks. Absolutely. I love mental rest. I love what you guys are putting together here. Congratulations on putting together your personal recharge plan. And congratulations on the awareness that you brought to this practice and to yourself. Thank you for being kind, compassionate, non-judgmental in observing. I'm so glad that you have this clarity now to take with you. Someone said, I cannot believe I wasn't giving enough credit to things that actually charge me up. Take that. I mean, that is huge. Yes, where you find joy, do more of that. Simple. If it brings you joy, do more of that. Yes, more laughter. If it makes you laugh and brings you joy, let's do more of that, all of us together. This brings me joy to be here with you. So thank you so much. And then let me just share one last slide with you before we go. Just to say thank you for sharing your energy with me today. This was an energy exchange. An energy exchange when you spend time with someone, and every activity that you do is an energy exchange. So be mindful of how you share your energy. Don't give it away. Don't put it into things that are not positive, that don't give back to you. So thank you for sharing your energy today here for this. And please reach out to me if you want to talk. Thank you so much for saying that it was an enjoyable session and informative. I'm so, so glad. Hopefully, my hope today is that we all walk out with a little plan for charging ourselves moving forward. The clarity and the awareness is key. Thank you for being here. And Amy, and so let's just do announcements. Thank you. Before you go, I wanted to say that next month, we will be shifting our in-person practice or time together to a virtual time. It was going to be an in-person Reiki experience, but we're doing it virtually. But do not worry, because we will be doing an in-person session towards the end of the program this year, which will be in the spring, and which is nice because we can be together when it's nice outside and it could be nice and warm. So next month will be virtual, and later in the spring we'll be together in person. Anything else, Amy?
No, I think you covered it. Thank you so much, Carmen. I entered in the chat the Zoom link for the next virtual session on March 9th. It'll be a Wednesday from 12 to 1 Eastern Time. It will be on the healing power of Reiki. I'll also enter in the chat our Blum Center website. That way, if you want an up-to-date schedule of upcoming events, feel free to visit our website. It'll be made available there as well.
Thank you, Amy. So if anyone is curious about Reiki, if you know anything about it, and you want to experience it or learn more about it, we'll be discussing Reiki in general. I'll take you through some exercises so that you can experience the biofields in that energy, right? Different energy than we were discussing today. But also we'll even discuss how it could be used for patients. You know, we bring it to patient care. We'll touch on that a little bit too as well.
Thank you so much, Carmen. And for everyone who joined us, thank you so much. As I had mentioned, today's session is being recorded. It'll be made available on the Blum Center website at massgeneral.org/Blum-Center, and the link is also in the chat. Thank you, everyone. Take care.